Hey, what's going on, y'all? My name is Antoinette, and I want to welcome you to the Unapologetically Authentic Podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things life unapologetically and authentically. I share my unapologetic and authentic perspective, and I encourage you and welcome you to share your unapologetically authentic perspective as well. Even if we don't have the same thoughts or the same perspectives, I still welcome you to share what it is that you think, what it is that you feel, because that is the purpose of this podcast. That's the purpose of this community, and that's the only way that change happens. That's the only way that growth happens. So I welcome you to this podcast. If you have never been here before, thank you for giving me a chance. And if you have been here before, thank you for coming back, okay? I really, really appreciate you. I really love the feedback that I have been getting so far. I know that y'all have been loving the authentic messages with the tarot and all of that. So, I'm happy about that. I like that. I love that for us. I love that for y'all, that y'all are actually, getting something out of those messages. And also just the topics that I've been having and the feedback that I've been getting from the topics. So continue to give me that feedback. Continue to let me know that you are listening, and I will continue to provide you with some good content and share my unapologetically authentic perspective. For those of y'all who don't know, when we develop these topics, the topics that I develop and that we talk about really stem from my life and the people that I know, or something that I see and something that I am inspired by, where we talk about certain topics. But I just wanted to share that with you because I feel like an episode today, when we get into the meat and the juice of the episode, it's really something where I'm being transparent, where I'm just sharing with y'all, really what I'm going through currently, and I'm really excited to really get into it. So let's just go ahead and get into it. All right. So of course, y'all, we start out with the authentic message of today, or of the day, of the episode. And I'm really excited that we have this video portion now, because you can see what I'm talking about. All right. If you are watching me on video. So to be clear, if you are listening to me on the audio side, on Podbean or maybe Google Play or wherever you can listen to this podcast. We're not on Apple Podcasts yet, but we're on like every other platform. So if you're listening to me on one of those platforms, you can't see me, but I'm going to post a video on YouTube, and you can check me out over there if you're interested in, seeing me in the cards or whatever I might show on the podcast. All right. So anyway, as I was saying, we're going to do the authentic message of the day. Today, I am using the African Goddess Rising. I feel like I got a lot of good feedback when I used that deck and what it stated. So if you don't know, the authentic message of the day, I pick one card, and it's just a message that lets us know how we can be more authentic on our journey today. And it doesn't matter when you listen to this episode. Whenever you listen to this episode, this card is for you. This message is for you. This message will support you in being your most authentic self and living your best life. Okay, so I don't care if you listen to this episode a year from now. If whenever you listen to this episode, this message is for you. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna do the shuffle, and then I'll be back. All right. Okay. So, I don't think I ever got this card before, and this is a beautiful card too. And the card, see, when I be saying the names, y'all probably like, what is she talking about? But now you see what I'm talking about, because these are African goddesses, right? So this African goddess name is Atete, but the theme of the card, y'all, is worthiness. Worthiness. We're going to read that. We're going to read it, and let's see what the messages of the day that will support us, support you and I, in being more authentic and being the best version of ourselves. Let's get into it. Atete, the goddess of worthiness. All right. Great goddess Atete, queen of the gods, is a fierce protector of women and girls for the Oromo people of Ethiopia. Atete's guidance, it says, stop hiding, shrinking, and playing small. Stand tall like the majestic sycamore tree. You are mighty. Life does not need to be perfect for you to embrace your own perfection. Life does not need to be perfect for you to embrace your own perfection. Get into that. Embodiment. It says you matter. Worthiness is your veins. Accept yourself now. Your birth certificate says that we need your overflowing magic, joy, and vulnerability. And most importantly, we need you. You are deserving and worthy. The beautiful parts of you that everyone likes are worth loving. The parts that you or others dislike are worth loving too. Your Creator loves you unconditionally. The Goddess Declaration states, which is like an affirmation, which you should use today to support you in being the best version of yourself and the most authentic version of yourself. It says, I matter. Declare today that I matter. Wow, this was good. This was good. This was deep. It definitely resonated with me just about worthiness and how I really loved how it stated that, your life does not have to be perfect for us to embrace our own perfection, because a lot of times we try to wait for the perfect moment to, live our best lives, to start that business, to have certain conversations, to be who we want to be. We try to wait for no, you matter now. You matter now, and that was good. And to support you in being your most authentic self of the day, just know that you are worthy, that you matter. And baby, knowing that, having that as your foundation as you walk throughout life today and every day, man, how can you not attract the best things for yourself? How can you not be the best version of yourself? You matter. Don't forget that. I love that. So, Atete, worthiness. Love it. Can y'all see it? Beautiful card. See them cups being poured? 2 cups. You matter in your relationships. And if there's a relationship where you feel as though you don't matter in, I'm talking about anything. And it really does align with what we're talking about today. I love when it does that on its own. But, let's get into it. So that was the authentic message of the day, y'all. Now we're going to get into the authentic Shero of the week. So I've been looking at my list because I have a list of who I want to be the authentic Shero and hero. And of course, y'all, I'm also taking nominations or suggestions on who y'all feel like should be the authentic hero and Shero of the week. It could be a community person, it could be a famous person, whatever the case may be. So just email, hit me up in my inbox, whatever the case may be. It don't have to be a hard task for you to reach out to me to let me know who y'all want to be the authentic Shero hero of the week, who you think is deserving, right? And it can be anybody. So today, who I feel and believe is truly, truly authentic, okay? And it's our Shero. She is a little cray-cray, but I just like this girl because not really the entertainment side of her, but when you watch her interviews and you really get to know her, like, quote unquote, personally, because we don't really know these people for real, unless you know them, but I don't know. So, but this girl, her name, she is the one and only Suki with the Good Coochie. Okay, Sukiana. Yeah, she is the authentic Shero of the week. And remember, y'all, I choose these authentic Sheros to give y'all examples of who I feel is their authentic selves, and maybe we can adopt some of their boldness, some of their self-worth, some of their confidence, right? And we don't have to act like them to recognize the confidence and the power and the freedom that they have in just being themselves. And that's what life is all about. So when I share with you who our authentic Sheros and heroes of the week is, it's not about whether you like them personally. It's about whether they are being their authentic selves. And if they are, it's not for you to judge. Like, ultimately, the issue is a lot of us are walking around this earth and we're not being our authentic selves. We wish that we could act like them. We wish that we could talk like them. We wish that we could, even not if it's not like them, but talk like how we want to talk. But it's a lot of things that we hold back. It's a lot of things that we don't say. It's a lot of feelings that we don't feel because we don't want to be judged. We don't want people to be, we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want people to recognize, who we really are, because we could be scared of who we are, scared of being judged and all of that. So when it comes to the authentic Sheros and heroes of the week, just know that, we can learn from them. Don't play with them. And it's not, like I said, it's not about liking everything, because Suki with the Good Coochie, Sukiana, I really, really like her because of kind of like who she stands for outside of the entertainment business, because it's very clear that she is a entertainer, right? And she makes that clear. And the industry that she's in, she's like in the sex industry, and that's her situation. So whatever she does in the industry is probably gonna have just some like sexual stuff attached to it. Me personally, I mean, it really doesn't bother me too much. Sometimes she does a little like extra stuff. I'll be like, what the hell, Suki? Like, why would you do that? Even when I know that you know better. You know better than that. And but then when you watch her videos or watch her interviews, like I said in the beginning, like, you can see that she is somebody. She's smart. You know what I mean? And she also talk about worthiness. I do believe that she values herself personally. Like when she's in front of the camera, I think it's like action. You know, she's an actress, so she's acting or whatever the case may be, and she's entertaining. She's in that mode. But outside of when the cameras are off, I think that she is a good woman. Like if you watch her Breakfast Club interview, watch her lip service interview. It was another interview that she had when she was on, I think it was Funny Marco. She was on there, even though they are more like funny video interviews or something. But you can and it was another one too. But just watch her interviews where you can see like who she is as a woman and how she values herself and how her confidence and all of that. Like, so for you and for me, because one of the things that I've been meditating on myself is the word confidence. Confidence, and having the confidence to be who I say I am outside of business. Because I feel like I've been focusing a lot on business this and business that. And when it comes to business, yeah, I'm really confident in my business now. Renee's Closet, get into the cup. Renee's Closet with a K. That's my cup. But yeah, being confident outside of like the arenas where I am most comfortable, right? So confidence, and I think Suki, she is one that exudes that for sure. So the authentic Shero of the week is Suki with the Good Coochie, Suki Hana. And yeah, that's what it is. All right, so we did the authentic message of the day, and then we did the authentic Shero of the week, and now we're gonna get into the episode. So let's get into it, y'all. Ultimately, I have been waiting to have this conversation with my people. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you're thinking and what you're feeling and your thoughts on today's topic, okay? So don't be quiet on this one. So the last time that we talked, or the last conversation that I recorded for the podcast, y'all, you might not feel like it because I've been posting every week, but it was in March. That was the last time that I posted or recorded an actual podcast episode. So now we're on episode 11, and I'm coming back, and I'm here, and the episodes are pretty much current, right? Or not current, but the episodes are like I'm starting currently. So today is May 22nd, and I'll be releasing this podcast episode tomorrow on May 23rd, right? Which is Tuesday. I'm also changing the days that I release the episode to see if that changes or affects the listens that are being, or the downloads of the podcast. But anyway, like I said, let's get into this episode, right? So I've been waiting to have this conversation with y'all because it's really, really been on my mind. And I brought up the fact that the last episode that I actually recorded was in March. So I feel like a lot has happened since March, which was like maybe like the third week of March, between March and now, which is okay. So what I really wanted to talk about is standards, expectations, and as I was like thinking and meditating, because there's a whole list of things that I want to talk about, right? When we talk about these standards and we talk about expectations, I was saying to myself, how can I have the most authentic conversation with my tribe as it pertains to this topic, right? Because I want to be as authentic as I can, because ultimately I believe that my authenticity is helping another person. I already know it is because people have been, reaching out to me and letting me know, like, yeah, the conversations are helpful, right? And I know my authenticity is supporting the conversations and being helpful, and I want that to continue. So what really made me want to discuss standards and expectations and more of what we want to talk about is the fact that, so at the end of March, and I think it was actually when I was recording like maybe episodes 9 and 10, I went through a really, really big transition in my life. And that transition was that ultimately me and my daughter's father we went our separate ways. Yes, we went our separate ways, in a sense, right? Because ultimately we're still living in the same house, but as it comes to like our romantic relationship, we went our separate ways. And as I was like meditating on like the separation, the breakup, the whys, and all of that, a couple topics began to come up for me, like, of how can I learn from this? How can I learn from this? Like, what is the biggest lessons that I'm learning from this? You know what I mean? And as I began to think and stuff like that, the word like standards began to come to my mind. It was like standards and all the other things that contributed to the separation. And I'll get into that as time goes on, because I can't talk about everything in one episode. But one of the things that I really want to share with y'all today, and one of the things that I am learning and that I have always, I feel like I've knew in life, but I'm applying it, and most people don't apply it. And I want you to apply it. I want you to be the best version of yourself. I want you to apply the things that we talk about, because you can know a thing, but it's applied action that matters. You know, knowledge is cool, but if you don't apply the knowledge that you are given, then it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. So what I want to say is that, well, I feel like what we as people, as women, we have to be okay with releasing things that don't meet or exceed our standard, our expectation. We have to be okay with releasing things that don't meet or exceed our expectation. And we have to be okay with that. And it's so hard to do. And as of right now, that lesson came to me like through my relationship. And when I say release it, I mean release it in peace, release it in love, release it in joy, release it in happiness, release it in non-toxicity. You know what I mean? It don't got to be a toxic situation. It really doesn't. But if you want to be the best version of yourself, if you want to have what you want to have, and you want to live the life of your dreams, it's important that you understand the importance of releasing things that do not meet or exceed your expectations. And you don't got to do it with hate in your heart. And if you are proactive and not reactive, it shouldn't be no bad blood. You know what I mean? So, as I said, in my situation, it comes from, like I said, my relationship. But it's so many so many areas that we need to focus on as adults, as humans, as people, and really analyze and examine to see, like, am I meeting my own standard? You know what I mean? And is there a standard here? What is the standard here? Like, to really examine your life and to figure out what is your standard, and get used to releasing the people, the habits, the thoughts that support you and stand in situations that do not meet or exceed your expectations. Because it's okay to move forward. It's okay to learn a lesson and to move forward from the situation after you learned your lesson, right? It takes strength too. And I feel like everybody don't have the strength, and we have to toughen up, right? So when you think about your finances, and the standard that you have with your finances, what is the standard? You know, is there a conversation that you have with yourself, like, I want to make this amount per hour, I want to make this amount a month, you know, my account can't hit below this threshold. Like, what is your standard for your finances? You know what I mean? And when you think about it, are you meeting or exceeding your standard? Because if you're not meeting or exceeding your standard as it pertains to your finances that you want, as it pertains to your financial stability, then it is important for you to ask yourself, what habits do I need to get rid of? What habits do I need to release? What thought processes, what mindset do I need to release to support me in meeting or exceeding the standard of my finances? When it comes to your career, what standard do you have in your career? Are you meeting or exceeding your career standards, your career goals? Because if you are not, you need to begin to ask yourself, what do I need to do to meet or exceed the standards that I have set for myself as it pertains to my business? You feel me? Like, y'all, we gotta get clear on what our standards are and be willing to release anything that's not meeting or exceeding the standard when it comes to your relationships, your romantic relationships, when you look at your partner, are they meeting or exceeding your expectations? And if they are not, it's okay. Are they willing to do the work? Are they willing to do the work? Because if they are not meeting or exceeding your expectations, and you communicate what your expectations, your standards are to be in this relationship, do you even know what your standards are? Do you have a list of standards for your relationship? Because that's important to get clear on what it is that you want and how you measure the success of your relationship. Like, that's one of the things that I am putting a lot of thought into now. Like, how do I measure the success of my relationships? Because ultimately, when I begin dating again, it's a certain type of caliber of a person that I want to date. You know what I mean? I want to date an ambitious person. I want to date a dreamer, a boss. I want to date a variety of different type of people. I'm outside. You feel me? I'm outside. Don't play with it. So I want to date, but I don't want to date people who I have to build up from scratch and they don't listen, or I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what I really, really want, how it's really going to look. You know what I mean? I'm still figuring that part out, but I know what I don't want, because I don't want what I've had, in a sense, because it wasn't bad. I didn't have bad relationships. I just want something different, honestly and truly. Something more easy. You know, my standard. I know one of my standards is like, when you get into a heated discussion, you don't gotta yell and argue. And I think I was one that used to do that, but I'm healing from that. And now that I'm healing from that, I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who yells and screams when they're upset, and when they get to that breaking point. So now they're yelling and screaming, but when they initially get upset, they're just quiet and they don't say nothing until they're so overwhelmed, and now you want to yell and scream. Like, that's not. I want a good communicator, an effective communicator, someone who sees the value in proactive communication and not reactive communication. You know, so that's like one of my standards that I'm setting for myself. Also want someone who is I said ambitious. So those are some of the standards. So what is your standard, right, for your relationship? I think you should get some paper, write it down, and get clear and say, what are my standards? What are my expectations? You know, we got to be mindful of standards and expectations. I do feel like there's a difference between standards and expectations, because sometimes we can expect a lot of people, like, and it's not their responsibility. Like, it's the things that we want from people is really not their responsibility, right? But you can have a standard of care, and this is my standard of care, and if you don't meet or exceed at least these standards, something that you can communicate to your job, your romantic relationships, even in your friendships. When I first started this podcast, you know, a lot of my content, or like the first few episodes, was about my friendships and how I was feeling like some type of way within my friendships, because I feel like a lot of different things, and you can talk, you know, you can go back to the episodes if you want to listen to them, but we are way past that now. But I do feel as though, like, that episode, even the communication that we have within our friendship, like, it's really helpful. But it's also had me thinking about, like, a standard that I want. One of the standards is, don't talk about me when I'm not there. And if you are talking about me when I'm not there, y'all better make it sound like y'all not. Like, because I pick up on it all. So just don't, because you can talk to me about anything, so you don't got to talk about me about anything, period. Unless, you know, it's a venting conversation. Some things you need to vent to, which I get and understand, but that's what I'm learning too, through having a standard, through communicating my standard. By me communicating my standard, I realize, like, their standard, you know what I mean, and who they are as people, and how sometimes you can have a standard, but it don't have to even stay the same, because once you have a standard, you communicate that standard, you give a person an opportunity to say to you, well, this is what I can achieve, this is what I can achieve, this is who I am. Now, are you going to accept me for who I am, right? Because you can't ask somebody to accept you and your standard without you accepting them and their standards, right? But we have to have these conversations surrounding standards and what we expect in our partnerships, no matter what the partnerships are, because it's important for people to be on the same page. And a lot of times in our relationships, in our partnerships, we allow the dangly little trinkets that we think we're going to get from this partnership to guide us. And that's not healthy. It's really not. It's just not. And I think one of the things that we need to think about as, like I say, as humans, I'm going to say as women because I'm a woman, right? We need to think about our standards is for self. I mean, that's the most important relationship that we have, is the relationship with ourselves. And ultimately, when we think about the finances, the career, the romantic, the friendships, and all these standards that we have, but what is ultimately the standard for yourself, and how do you treat yourself? And I've been putting a lot of thought into that as well, because ultimately, I feel like the standard that I have even for myself was low. When I think about, and not really low, like I'm a low maintenance chick for real. Like I don't need much, and I'm also an independent chick, so I can take care of myself. But now as I move forward and as I am growing and like learning myself and loving myself more and going on this like authentic journey, this self-love journey, I'm in this space where I'm like, I want to take care of myself better, because I want to be taken care of better. You know, when it comes to my next partnership, and at the end of the day, how can I expect someone to do so much for me if I'm not even doing it for myself? Even if it comes down to like getting my hair, like doing the things that I like to do, like my nails and stuff. I like getting my feet done more than my nails. I just started like making a priority to get a manicure too. I was getting gel, but the gel makes my nails weak, so now I'm just getting like my weekly manicure, stuff like that. But it's like just being clear on the things that I like to do, the standard that I have for myself, like how I take care of myself. And as I am going throughout life and attracting different things to me, the things that I attract will be right on point with who I am and what I want, period. Like that, it's going to be right on track, it's going to be right in alignment, because I'm focusing on myself and I have my own set of standards. So say if I have somebody or a situation enters my realm, right? Something enters my realm now, because I have a certain standard. If you don't meet or exceed the standard, I don't even want no parts of you. That could be a job, an opportunity. Y'all know I'm a full-time entrepreneur, so opportunities come my way all the time, and I could be in a space to where like, well, I know I want to make this much, and I know that I want to put this amount of time into projects and stuff like that, and if something comes into me and it's not cohesive to what my standard is or what I got going on, and after talking to the other person, if we feel like we can't come to some type of compromise or agreement, I can successfully move forward in faith, knowing that, you know, I'm being true to myself. And when you're true to yourself, blessings come easily. Okay, maybe not as easily, but blessings do come. I know that, period. When it comes to like my friendships, right? Or your friendships, or our friendships, right? When it comes to friendship, period. If you know how you want to be treated when it comes to relationships, how about that? It's not about platonic and romantic. When it comes to relationships, when you have a standard of how you want to be treated, when you have a standard of how you want to be treated, and you come in contact with people who you have communicated what your standards are, and they still want to treat you the way they want to treat you, you gotta be willing to release it, right? You gotta be willing to release it, right? It's important. It's important. It's important. It's important. It's important, y'all. And this is the conversation that I wanted to have today about standards and about being okay with, you know, releasing things that do not meet or exceed your expectations, and dealing with the consequences of it, and not being scared. And I feel like a lot of times, a lot of people in this situation, especially when it comes to like love and romance, y'all naggers be stuck. And I'm all for fighting for relationships that are worth it. That, you know, after you have a conversation about the challenges that you are having in your relationship, there's change. Those are the relationships worth fighting for. But if you continue to have relationships or conversations with people you're in a relationship with, whether it be platonic or romantic, and you can have conversations and it's not changing, let it go. What are you doing? Why are you wasting your time? That's when you know you have to love yourself more. And we're going to have a conversation around self-love. I think that's going to be one of the next topics that we're going to talk about and get into it. Self-love and confidence and all of that. Because I need that conversation too. I mean, you're not by yourself as it pertains to sometimes being in situations for too long because you don't have the confidence that you need or the resources that you need to leave. You got to recognize it and move forward. You can't be stuck. Period. You gotta recognize it and move forward, because if you act like you're stuck, you claim stuckness, that's a sign of weakness. Are you a weak? How about the cuss? I don't want to disrespect you. But are you weak or what? Are you weak or strong? Are you God's child? Can you overcome anything? Do you know that you serve a God that if you decide to leave a situation that ain't serving you, he will replace it with something greater once you make the move. Do you know that you're serving a God that's waiting on you to make that first step? Don't think about what could go wrong, but think about all the things that could go right. Release. It's okay. You can do it. You can do it. All right. So that's today's episode, y'all. That's it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, today's conversation on the Unapologetically Authentic Podcast. I definitely appreciate talking to y'all, and I love talking to you. I really, really do. Like, I just love talking to y'all, and I love, like I said, the feedback that I've been getting. So make sure you like this episode, subscribe to the podcast. If you have any thoughts or feedback on today's conversation, follow me on Instagram. You can email me as well. I'll leave the details in the description. And share this episode with a friend. And listen to this episode till the end. And also go back to some other episodes and check those out too. Like, come on, y'all, get my downloads up. First goal is 100 downloads that I'm trying to get after... and this is episode 11. All right, so I'm sure after this episode, if I'm not there yet, I haven't even checked, but if I'm not there yet, I'm sure I will have 100 downloads at least by the end of this episode. But come on, the big goal is 1,000. The big goal is I'm trying to hit is 1,000. So share this episode, listen to other episodes. I don't care if you go to episode number 1 or episode 0, and let's let it play all the way through. Keep your phone on silent. Do what you gotta do to support me and get my listens up. All right, I really, really appreciate y'all so much. My name is Antoinette, and I am out of here. Later.